G'day there guys, your daily routine here. It's Markee, and welcome back to another episode of r/AmiTheA. If you enjoyed today's content, tell me what you think of it down below. What's your opinion? Does the first poster suck? Does the second one not? Who knows? Tell me what you think, and have a good day. Thank you. Posted by user throwaway20607090. Titled, Am I the a-hole for asking a friend if her new boyfriend is okay with her weight? Hi. I know how the title sounds, but here's the story. One of my close friends is a fat woman. I think she is absolutely gorgeous inside and out, but she does struggle with obesity and losing weight, and very serious self-image problems. She talks about it with our friend group very frequently, and I know her issues with self-image have been quite debilitating in terms of her dating life. She's basically never been in a relationship, despite being a perfectly lovely, smart, ambitious, and fun person. Recently though, she met a new guy on a dating app, and they really hit it off. They've been going on dates for about 2 months now, and it seems like things are progressing quite well. We couldn't be happier for her because she really deserves it. On Friday, our group of friends went out for some drinks, and she was showing us some pictures of him and telling us how she can't wait for us to meet him. That's when I blurted out, "He seems great, and he's okay with your weight, right?" The table went dead silent, and I realized how rude I sounded. I tried to backpedal and explain that I only brought it up because I know how much she's struggled. She literally talks about it all the time, and I wanted to make sure she's with someone who treats her well. She started tearing up, and another friend said, "Dude, that's super screwed up." And I tried to say that they're kinda overreacting, and that, come on, we were all thinking about it, and just wanted to make sure she feels comfy in the relationship. Anyway, that was Friday. It's now Tuesday. I've made several attempts to reach out to my friend and others in the group, and they said that they have no interest in talking to me for the foreseeable time. I'm really sad because these are my core best friends, and I'm extremely lonely without them. Am I the a-hole? What can I do? Edit to add, I'm in a small town in New Zealand, not in the US. Please don't judge me for going to a bar with my friends at this time, as there haven't been any active cases in our community since like June. You really slipped up there, didn't you? That's really not nice to say. And then you doubled down on it afterwards after she started tearing up, saying, "Come on, we're all thinking it. We all think you're fat." Doesn't that make it better? Don't tear up. It's gonna be fine. We're all judging you here. How do you think that's okay to do? I don't blame them for ghosting you right now for the foreseeable time. It'd be nice for them to throw you a bone later and say, "Hey, we can forgive this if you apologize, but Jesus, that was really messed up what you said." Get a grip with reality, OP. You're the a-hole. He's been dating her for 2 months. Obviously he's okay with her weight. What you said was crappy and rude, and absolutely was not on everyone's mind. Instead of backpedaling, apologize, sincerely and with no justifications. Oh sure, look, I realize how rude I sounded and then inexplicably decided to double down and be twice as rude to my close friend for no real reason. I was just so surprised that overweight people can be found attractive by others. Isn't that crazy? But we're all thinking it, I assure you. Seriously, you're the a-hole, OP. That's not what I meant. I know her insecurities held her back in the past, and I wanted to make sure he sees beyond her insecurities. I worded it poorly, but my intentions were in the right place. Intentions don't really matter here. You said something extremely rude and hurt your friend because of it. Your intent might not have been there to do that, but that is what you did. Forget your intention, stop trying to backpedal or explain away the cruel thing you said. There was no reason to ever bring it up. Your friend is happy with a seemingly good guy. Why the F would you ask if he's okay with her weight? Why wouldn't he be? Why would you draw attention to her insecurity when she's experiencing something wonderful and wanted to share it with her friends? Now you just have to sincerely apologize and hope that your friend forgives you for your lapse in judgment. Your question didn't sound rude. It was rude. You could have simply asked if he treats her well, if you were concerned about the type of guy he was. Bringing her weight into it is uncalled for. You had no reason to believe he's treating her badly because of it, so why bring it up? Because you see her weight and believe any guy would have a problem with it? Dang. Seems like OP got jealous and wanted to bring her friend down. Randomly inserting that comment about her weight is such an a-hole move, and I don't blame OP's friend for wanting to dump her. Friends should share their friends' excitements, not bring up their insecurities to make them question themselves. And OP says again, I'm not jealous. I have a boyfriend of 5 years. I know how relationships work. Clearly, you don't understand how friendships work though. As many are saying, you're the a-hole. Look, OP, that's great, and he's okay with you being incredibly tactless and rude, right? Edit. Come on, we're all thinking it. Posted by user Forensically Miffed, titled, Am I the a-hole for sending my mother to prison? My mother is in prison for defrauding the government for 10 plus years, which finally caught up with her. About 2 years ago, I was subpoenaed by the court to testify and ended up being the testimonial that ultimately sent her to federal prison. She has been in prison for just over a year now. As a result, we are estranged. However, I wasn't given much of a choice because my current profession has strict legal requirements that I can't risk bending or I'll lose everything. Fast forward to this past week. My maternal grandfather passed away suddenly from complications from a stroke he had 2 months ago. Everyone is sad and devastated, and it's been hard to reconcile the loss during COVID-19. A lot of prisons will grant furlough for those who wish to attend their loved one's funeral, something we already had to do back in February when my grandmother passed away. And I was the one who filled up the paperwork and was 100% responsible for my mother during her furlough. So, once I received the news of my grandfather's passing, I started on the paperwork, but stopped because it turned out that my grandfather is going straight to cremation without a funeral or service, because that is what my grandfather wanted. And I told my family that we weren't furloughing my mother out because of the fact that there is no service or funeral. My family understood. Fast forward to today, when my sibling calls me to thank me for furloughing our mum out. Shocked and confused, I asked the obvious, what do you mean? Turns out, as I discovered by calling the prison, that my aunt busted my mother out of prison on falsified documents where they forged my signature and gave my contact information, and told the prison that there was a funeral and that my mother's presence was required. 1. I live in a separate province. 2. There isn't a funeral or service. There is absolutely no reason for her to be outside of prison during a pandemic, especially when prisons are COVID-19 hotspots. So I had to call the police because, if caught, I could lose my livelihood, my license, and a career I love. After all, my mother didn't want to grieve in prison and has zero regards for anyone else's health and well-being. I texted everyone in my family to encourage my aunt to take my mother back to prison, or I would have no choice but to call the police and charge my auntie with identity theft and have a warrant issued for my mother. Something I really don't want to do. However, my family is calling me an insensitive a-hole for not allowing my family to get together to grieve, because I can't be there and I'm taking it out on them. So I called my aunt directly and recorded the call and told her that if she didn't return my mother to prison by noon tomorrow, I would call the police and have them issue a warrant for my mother and have her charged with identity theft. Am I the a-hole for not allowing my family to use me to basically prison break my mother? I just don't get how they think they can get away with this one. Like, yeah, let's just break her out of jail and pretend that this is a cool and good thing to do, right? Haha, this won't land me in trouble for identity theft. Don't even need to use my brain. They definitely wouldn't rat me out after they had to send their mother to jail. I'm just really smart. I'm trying to think of ways that OP would be the a-hole, but the alternative here is that they get in trouble for allowing identity theft to occur. And so they're on the line as well, and regardless, the aunt and the mother get punished, as well as OP? Or they don't all get found out, and then it sets a precedent for OP allowing them to abuse OP's identity. There's no winning in this situation. So honestly, OP, you're giving them more than they deserve. As Miley Cyrus once said, you get the best of both worlds. I'm not singing it. They get the mother until noon tomorrow, and no one gets in trouble. I see it as a win. But yeah, not the a-hole. Edit, no funeral, I double-checked with grandfather's partner. Edit 2, called police, police confirm I will not face legal repercussions as I am a victim. Update, spoke to my lawyer and asked how it was possible for my aunt to pick up my mother from prison. Turns out, due to pandemic, visitors are a no-no. In my case, inmates who are furloughed go through all the steps to leave, but the family members are outside waiting. And on a page I did not see originally, they had my aunt's address as a potential address for my mother to stay, but it was put as a secondary, not a primary. So I guess the ball was severely dropped, but I won't have definitive answers till I call on Monday. Edit 2, y'all, please stop assuming that my brother is going to prison. He's a lot of things, but he wouldn't help my mother or aunt with this jailbreak. If anything, he's a grief-stricken victim who just wanted to see his mum for the first time since the pandemic and be sad about our grandfather, who is currently also being an a-hole because he feels I should let them all grieve. It's a screwed up situation, but my brother did nothing illegal. Calm down. Update 3, my brother is a minor, 14 years old. Y'all, so no. He couldn't furlough our mother out. So please stop asking that. Also, I do not hate my mother. My mother gave me up when I was 11 years old, but kept my other siblings and had more, like rehomed me to another family without getting the province involved. She had no parental rights to me because she signed them away to this family. During that time, while I was not in her custody, she continued to gather government benefits claiming I was still with her. Benefits she claimed were way beyond your basic child benefits, but other government money she was not entitled to. I couldn't be as detailed as I wanted because of the character limit of 3,000. It all came crashing down about 3 years ago, when she was arrested for fraud beyond $5,000, and then I was being investigated because of my mother's BS, despite the fact I wasn't even aware of any of this. Context, I reconnected with my grandfather when I was in university, and we were very close. All of my siblings were told to testify. I didn't want to because I didn't want to be involved. I told the prosecution this, so they subpoenaed me. No, I cannot plead the fifth. That doesn't work here. Secondly, after many conversations I had with my own legal representation at the time, it was best that I testified, so I did. And during that time, her violent history was brought up. So y'all keep claiming she's a non-violent person, it's incorrect. She just got caught with a non-violent crime, which is actually violent, because cases like this make it harder for people to collect benefits they're entitled to. Not to mention she has a history of fraud that started with my grandmother, her own mother, and my grandfather, who, by the way, also testified against her. Trust me, nobody wanted to be involved in sending her to prison. All of this history led to her being sentenced to 5 years, which meant she ended up in federal prison because provincial prison is for sentences of 2 years and under. Federal is 2 years or more. I don't even call her mum anymore, but did so in this post because of anonymity and simplicity. Why I bring up the pandemic is because we're actively still living in a pandemic, regardless of what stages of reopening we're in. She's not been tested for it, and prisons are currently pandemic hotspots, so yes, I don't want her around my immunocompromised family members, which by the way includes my aunt who is battling breast cancer. I don't want people to die of it, or even have it. She can grieve like everyone else is, at home. But her home just happens to be a prison. That's so grim. I told all of this to the warden of the prison my mother is at, while also on the phone with the detective I spoke to yesterday, and my lawyer. 2 investigations are now happening: who authorized my mother's furlough at the prison, and my aunt's identity theft, which I'll probably take a restorative justice path to, and whatever else the Crown decides to charge her with. I posted this for reassurance because my grief and helplessness weren't offering me the ability to look at this objectively. So, thank you to everyone who said not the a-hole. All of you who claimed you're the a-hole, y'all are some serious trolls, damn. That was really long, but I'm glad we all came together in the end. I hope you enjoyed that long series of a post. But unfortunately, we're moving on now. That was way too long. Posted by user Throwaway482914. Titled, Would I be the a-hole for asking my maid of honor to wear a dress at my wedding? I recently got engaged, yay, and picked out my bridesmaids and everything. I chose my maid of honor to be my short-time, but amazing friend G. Then I have my fiance's sister-in-law and my longtime best friend. She doesn't have the time to be too involved in planning and was okay with not being maid of honor. I made an appointment a few weeks ago at a bridal shop for the bridesmaids and I to try on dresses on the 12th of September. I made sure everyone was okay with the date and time before booking. On Monday, G decided to shave her head. I was so happy for her, and she honestly looks amazing. I then saw on a Snapchat post that she started binding. I'm not sure if she wants to be trans or NB. She's never mentioned wanting to do any of that, and has gone by she/her since I've known her. I messaged all the bridesmaids to confirm and remind them of the date and time, since I want to give them plenty of time to find a dress they like. They can get whatever style they feel suits them, as long as it's a long dress and the same color. G was the only one that didn't respond, but I saw that she opened my message. I really want the bridesmaids to look similar, while giving them the freedom to do their hair and makeup however they want, and pick their own dress they like for their bodies. I'm kind of nervous that G might ask to wear a tux, or might drop out. She's been extremely supportive and involved up until about a week ago. While I'm normally extremely supportive, I don't really want my maid of honor to look that different from the rest of the bridal party. Would I be the a-hole for asking about it, and telling her I really prefer her to wear a dress for the wedding if it comes up? I think you would be the a-hole for this if she didn't want to wear a dress. If you prefer that she wears a dress, and she's not comfortable with wearing a dress, that's completely fine on her end. I think you really have to tread lightly in this territory and be as respectful as possible about this, OP. I advise you not to be aggressive when dealing with this matter, and definitely show them all the support you've been sharing with them through this short time that you've known them as best friends. But I'm gonna say, for this instance, right now, you're the a-hole. Update: I took into consideration all of the comments I've read so far. I messaged them and asked if they were doing okay. They said yeah. It's just been a really rough work week. I said that I saw them start binding and asked if they were transitioning or non-binary. They're non-binary. I showed my support and asked what pronouns they'd prefer, they and them now, and said that they've been thinking about it for years and finally had the guts to do it. I mentioned if I ever slipped up and said she/her to correct me. Although I'll try my hardest, I know I'm bound to slip up a couple of times until I'm used to it because I've used she and her for so long, and they said it's completely okay for me to still use she, but I want to show support and use the pronouns they prefer. Then I asked if they wanted to still wear a dress or if they had other ideas of what they would be comfortable to wear, and they said a dress and even sent me pics of what they'd feel comfortable in. I love them. Very cute and will completely flatter their body in the best way. They said that even though they're non-binary, they still like to wear dresses and girly clothes half the time, and really want to dress up for the wedding, and even thought about a wig for an extra dramatic look if I was okay with it. I definitely am, but I still loved their shaved head, and want to see what cute looks they can do with it too. I'm kinda sad that they didn't come to me sooner, but they said they were just nervous about coming out since it's still so new to them, and they come from a very Christian family. Everything's okay, and we're now talking about name changes. I did bring up the tux, and they said they wouldn't be comfortable in that for a wedding, but I thought they're always welcome to change their mind if they find one that matches. Your edit made me so happy, OP. You're awesome and clearly do walk the walk regarding respecting your friends' choices. Thank you for the update. I'm gonna go with no a-holes here. It's your wedding, and it's reasonable to ask your maid of honor to wear a dress, but the other person wouldn't be an a-hole for saying no. I was about to say you're the a-hole because it seemed like you cared more about the idea of them looking the same, more than checking on what your friend would be comfortable wearing. To answer your specific question, if you were just going to say, how about a dress, smiley face, then you're the a-hole. Your update shows that you handled it well though. No a-holes here, just reading your edits, I really don't think there are any a-holes to be found. I'm glad you both were able to figure it out, and congrats on the wedding. I hope it all goes well. Okay, and I think that's where we're going to end today's episode, guys. As always, I do hope you enjoyed it and maybe even learned something from these stories. Just want to say a quick shout out to my Patreon subscribers and my channel members. You guys should be on the screen right now. If you do see yourself, I want you to give yourself a little pat on the back for being amazing and supporting me on this channel, this little journey we're going on the YouTubes. I really appreciate it, and you guys enabled me to do all this amazing work. So if you do see yourself, I love your face and I'm happy to see you. Also guys, if you want to pitch in your own support, you don't have to, but channel links are down in the description below to support the Patreon, the channel membership, whatever you want to do. It's kind of like tipping me if you feel like I'm doing a good job on this channel. I will be opening up avenues for content on those in the future. Just right now I'm kind of bogged down and stuck in Ireland, but you know, it is what it is. Anyway, guys, with that said, I do hope you have a wonderful day today. Whatever you're up to, I'd love to know down in the comments below. I do hope you have a good day, night, sleep. Whatever you're up to today, tell me, and I'll see you in the next episode, guys. Bye.